We off in this place, catching vibes, sit back and we blaze in the sky like I'm out of space. Natural high, light it up, light it up, light it up, light it up, light it up.
What's going on, cigar world? What's going on, cigar enthusiasts? This is Jack, the cigar enthusiast, and we are back with another live virtual smoke deck segment. Man, shout out to everybody that's tuning in and everybody that is out there watching, man. Go ahead and drop your name in the comment box so we can give you a what's up, a hello, and a high five from yours truly, Jack, the cigar enthusiast, man. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell, give us a big thumbs up. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't be the only one to have this wonderful content at the palm of your hands. Go ahead and make a watch party, share it, tag us, do all of that good stuff. With that being said, man, I'm Jack, the cigar enthusiast. For anybody that don't know, and for all those that do, man, I'm happy to see y'all on a Saturday. We know our thing is Sunday, so we don't even know how this is going to turn out because we already know Sunday is our thing. But, man, we are happy that you guys are joining us on this Saturday because I'm ready to have a ball, man. I think this is going to be an amazing segment with Sean from Cohiba. Yes, that is our guest of the hour. He is coming to us, you know, not only from a busy work schedule, but also, you know, just in the midst of doing a lot of great things, man. And I can't wait to sit down and talk with him. What's up, Lewis? Man, I'm glad you called us too, man. So there's a lot of great things going on that Cohiba got in the work. I can't wait to talk to Sean, but man, most importantly, man, we are happy to see you guys again on this Saturday, man. I hope you guys have a Cohiba put up, and let's go ahead. Ron's in the building, man. Great Wolf, man. My Mr. Santa Claus is in the building, man. I appreciate you, man. Man, we're not going to sit here and take up any more time because Sean does have a busy schedule that we need to get to. Without further ado, our guest of the hour, Sean Williams, Cohiba. How you doing, Sean?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Man, I am great. I am great, man. I said all of that, did that wonderful introduction for you. You came on here. What's up? What's up, tell him?
Hey,
What's
I
up,
don't know you ready to come in like Big Vitel. We need a TO, baby.
What's going on, Jeff? Hey, man, I mean, like, I want you to come in, you know, with the music playing, you know, in the background. You come in doing a two-step.
It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday. So on Saturdays, I don't have my traveling theme music with me. I give the band off, you know.
Okay.
All the theme music on Saturdays. So it's just me, man. It's just me. So.
Man, I definitely understand, man. I appreciate you taking the time out to come on the virtual smoke deck, man. We are excited to have you. Not only are you doing great things with Cohiba, man, but I mean, your name, your face is popping up everywhere, and it would be stupid of me not to reach out to you. And I'm just happy that you accepted our invite.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for touching base, man. I appreciate it.
Most definitely.
Your listeners and your supporters for tuning in on a Saturday. So I apologize for taking you guys off schedule. Thank you.
Oh, hey, look, it's all good, man. You know, one thing I learned about us and on the virtual smoke that we all, you know, conquer and overcome. You know, that's our one of our themes. So we definitely do that, man. I'm not gonna take it up with all the small talk, man. Sean, let's get into the heat of it. For anybody that don't have a clue of who you are, which is very hard. I mean, your face is on Tobacco Biz, you know, all over Cigar Aficionado, you name it. You're out there. Let everybody know who you are. A little bit about you that people may not know about you.
Well, I mean, for those that don't know me, I'm Sean Williams. I'm the lead guy for Cohiba Cigars, the brand ambassador, cigar maker now for 16 years. Started and ran my own brand. Started my own brand back in 2006 and ran it for 10 to 11 years before the good people of General Cigar approached me about stepping over to head up the Cohiba cigar brand. So that's basically what I do, and hopefully I'm doing it okay. Right. So yeah, I've been in business for a decade and a half, man, and happy to be here as the front guy for Cohiba.
So you say that you started off, making your own cigar brand in 2006. What was the name of that? And what made you do the shift, not only from that, but on to the Cohiba brand itself?
My brand that I started is called El Primer Mundo, which means the first world. I started it in February, March of 2006. Initially made out of Nicaragua with the Placencia family. Terrific tobacco family.
Yes, it is.
Went on to make sort of my second wave of cigars, Liga Miami, Epifania, a few others, with El Titon de Bronce out of Miami. Good family there. That's actually the family and the factory that we make the new Cohiba Series M. So it's kind of cool to go full circle back with a family that I love and really sort of learned a lot with as far as a cigar maker. Then also made cigars in the GR. So I made cigars in a number of countries over the years before having an opportunity to step into this role with Cohiba. And as far as I think you asked what was the reason?
Yeah, what made you go the Cohiba route when it was?
Well, it's not like there was an ad in the paper for know Cohiba guy that I answered classifieds or anything like that. Thank goodness someone internally saw something interesting in me or what I brought to the marketplace that they wanted me to be at the forefront of the brand as we moved into sort of a next chapter in the brand, so to speak. And I saw someone, I missed it earlier, but someone mentioned something about Rick Rodriguez. Sean can make it up. Rick Rodriguez. So yeah, Rick is of course he's the me of CAO. Or maybe I'm the him of Cohiba because he predated me in this role with General. So, but he and I have been friends for a number of years. I think we met the first time in 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. So when the executive team at General Cigar sort of expressed interest in talking with me to see if I'd be interested in doing this, Rick was the emissary that they basically sent out to reach out to me. And that's how the dialogue started. So, and for me, as far as why I do it, obviously, I had to think about the reality of walking away from my brand.
Yeah.
But being a cigar maker and loving what I do in this capacity, there was no better, as I thought about it, there's no better platform or no better, rich sort of story brand to be a part of, to do what I do as a cigar maker than Cohiba. So at some point, it just makes all the sense in the world to do it. To be able to do all the things I love to do as far as, impacting the blending of the cigars and getting to do the in-store interaction with the customers and the retailers and all the things I loved about being a cigar maker. And doing those for a brand like Cohiba is just it's almost a no-brainer. So it's been a good 4 years.
Right now, a lot of people will say that we are going through something called a cigar boom. Last cigar boom was somewhere in the early 2000s, where the boom of tobacco became a thing. So everybody was smoking cigars. Sales on cigars went up. In that time around 2006, it was one that was brewing, if I'm not mistaken.
That's when I came during a mini boom. The big boom was in the 90s, but there was a mini boom in the mid 2000s.
Absolutely.
And I came in, in the wave of that, not knowing that, but yeah.
So, kind of going into that topic right now in 2020 kind of stirred up a nice boom. I mean, across the board, sales are up, 15, 20%, 25, some companies 35% over the, 2019 numbers. And you're starting to see a little bit more brands being out there, right? Mm-hmm. So my question is, with so many people trying to, they seeing the revenue that can be generated from the cigar industry, because it's $1 billion industry. What are some of the things that when you first started that you feel like, for a lack of a better words, lacked in skill set that you kind of developed or noticed or came to the forefront when you went over and did the jump to Cohiba?
So make sure I understand what you're saying. So you're asking me.
So so right now there's a cigar boom, plain as day, right? So with so many brands being created, you know, when you first created your brand, was it something that you noticed that maybe you didn't see or didn't understand once you made the jump to Cohiba, that Cohiba helped illustrate to you in a better sense?
It's a good question, man. I guess the big thing for me, you know, you learn all the time in this business. That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
You know, certainly coming over to Cohiba, there's tobacco that I had never really worked with. I had dabbled with a little Cameroon, had never done anything with Sumatra or Indonesian tobacco. Had never done anything with Alliance of San Agustin. So certainly got a chance to work with different tobaccos that I hadn't had a chance to work with. But from a business standpoint, you know, going from a tiny boutique brand like mine to you know, a big flagship brand like Cohiba, you have to sort of take a macro approach to the business. You know, a lot of people think that you know, there's events. So it's Cohiba. You guys got all this money, you can do all these different events. Well, in a weird sort of way, you have to be even a little bit more judicious with your resources, because the brand is very demanding on me from a time standpoint and physically as well, just from the travel. So I can only commit to be at so many places. So I have to be very, very judicious with how I spend my time, where we spend resources as far as the brand. Like, it was never calculations I had to make with El Primer Mundo as far as how I'm going to spend advertising dollars, because I didn't have any advertising dollars, right? Yeah. So with a brand like this, you have to figure, okay, you know, we have this sort of marketing philosophy, and one of the tools in that toolbox, and I was actually talking about this earlier, is advertising. So how do we what's the most effective way to spend our money there? And it really counts, because you want to see some type of return on your investment. That's hard to do with advertising dollars or marketing dollars in general. So I have to take more of a macro approach and really look at the nuts and bolts and be fiscally responsible. It's not like that stuff falls, you know, on me. I'm sort of like a driver in this car, but there's an incredible crew and team that builds the car, keeps the car rolling, whatever, that you guys never see. So there's a bunch of people obviously involved in all of these decisions I'm talking about, but I'm involved in all of them as well. So I have to take more of a macro approach and really keep a business hat on, but at the same time balancing, not losing sight of my passion for making cigars. So that's the biggest thing here. I never really had to balance those things. I had to balance them, but it was a different calculation for me with a smaller brand versus all the moving parts for a bigger brand, you know?
I guess my question, great answer, by the way. I mean, you definitely dove into something that I wanted to get into. But what I really wanted to dive into was the fact that in today's society, what is happening, I don't know if you're going to admit it, but I will admit it, because I have, you know, outside of Dapper D's, I have no cigar brand to really focus on. And in today's society, what is happening is everybody wants the synergy behind having a brand. Everybody wants to call themselves a brand owner. Everybody wants to sell a cigar that they have quote unquote produced. So what I'm getting to is, you know, being somebody that has created a brand, that had a brand doing well enough that a major company, a major key player in the organization said, or the industry, in the industry said, Sean, we would like you to come run our cigar blending process for our company. That you know, in that sense alone, it must have, you know, came with some great gratitude and accomplishment, sense of accomplishment that you had, you know, you have done something right. But what I see is nowadays, everybody is flocking to a brand, but I don't think they understand, you know, the aspects behind, you know, picking the right Ligero, picking the right Seco, picking the right Velado, putting it all together versus somebody calling them over or texting them on Facebook saying, hey, I can get you these cigars, would you want samples? And, you know, putting a band on it and going from there. So when I asked that question in regards to what is something that you learned as someone that started your brand, that when you went into Cohiba was a little bit more intricate, if that makes sense. Was there anything that kind of was like, I didn't never notice that, you know, from my perspective with my brand?
From the cigar making process standpoint, not really. I mean, and I kind of know what you're talking about as far as there's a lot of new entries into the marketplace now, and from what I understand, you know, and I can't, you know, I'm not with anybody 24/7. So from what I understand, a number of them haven't really experienced, you know, hands-on interactive blending at the factories, which I don't think there's any substitution for that. And listen, and I don't want to get into casting aspersions on why people approach the business from a manufacturing standpoint versus other people. That's, you know, if the business works that way for them, that's cool. But from my standpoint, there was no substitution. You know, for me, going down to Nicaragua, spending a week down there in the early part of 2006, and going through that process was just an immersion, an educational experience that really changed the way I approach cigar making forever. Now, as far as coming over to Cohiba, I don't know that there was anything necessarily from a cigar making standpoint that I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. It was really, for me, it's just having access to more material, more resources, whether it's access to materials, whether it's access to people, but just you know, the ecosystem with Cohiba is a lot different than what it was with El Primer. There's just a lot more moving parts. So I can't say that a light bulb went off from a cigar making standpoint necessarily. For me, the big thing was just having a whole lot more resources to work with, including terrific people. Again, you know, some people that you guys would never ever you know, really recognize or know, who without them doing what they do, as far as the tobacco curing, the blending, even and things of that nature, the brand wouldn't be where it is. I mean, you know, it's easy for me to, you know, sort of play a major part in this process, but it's still, I'm just a part in this process, and it's a lot of other people involved.
Yeah, and I think you know, one methodology that I have, or philosophy for that matter, is you can't shortcut the process. Mm-hmm. You must take every single step in the process, because that's what's going to get you the end product that'll be, you know, sufficient not only for you but for your customers, and you know, the customers in the future. So I think it's amazing that you even mentioned the, you know, the process, and just gaining the resources to not understand the process, but have a little bit more moving parts in the process so you can perfect your product. And I think you know, right now, I wouldn't even say right now, for decades now, you know, American or Nicaragua Cohiba, or, you know, Cohiba brand, Americanized Cohiba brand, period, is being shadowed by the Cuban brand, you know. And I think, you know, getting even into that role in 2006 or 2009-ish was something that was, you know, a little bit more, I wouldn't say aggressive for that matter, because Cohiba is now starting to put out, in my opinion, cigars that, you know, can have their own reputation in a sense. Man, I don't, you don't understand, Sean. Muzz will walk in my shop and say, "Where's the Cohiba Black? Where's the Cohiba Blue? Where's the Cohiba Red? Where's the Royal? Where's this?" And the fact of the matter is, because it over time it has you know, created a name for itself outside of the shadow of the Cuban, you know, Cohiba, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. Yeah. You know, but listen, and a lot of people, you know, said, you know, when I go in, oh man, you know, Cohiba's this and it's doing great. You know, you've done this, you've done. Listen, you know, Cohiba was fine before I came along, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if for some reason I get ejected from the seat tomorrow, the brand will still do fine. Now, only thing that I sort of tasked myself was doing was expanding the audience, and for me, that meant just kind of taking what I was true to as a cigar maker, which was being intimately familiar with working with Nicaraguan tobacco, because historically that's been the cornerstone of everything I've ever done. And as fate would have it, that was one thing that, as a brand, the Red Dot Cohiba was kind of missing. The influence of Nicaraguan tobacco and what it does to the profiles. So that's been like the biggest thing that I sort of led the charge with over the last few years. Just making sure we touch every single region of Nicaragua. And there's one I haven't really touched yet that I'm working on with the release. Probably going to come out in 2022. But really, I think that expands the audience a lot. Because when you look at the portfolio now, I mean, we're well represented from every corner of the globe. From, of course, the authentic red dot Cameroon that I'm smoking, authentic Cameroon from the continent of Africa, Ecuadorian tobacco, Jalapa Valley, Nicaraguan on the Royale that you're smoking, Olante San Agustin Honduran tobacco on the blue, USA grown Connecticut broadleaf on the black. So when I look at the preeminent growing regions around the globe, I want to make sure that the Cohiba brand is representative of the best that all those regions have to offer. And in the place where we were a little bit sort of outgunned was in the region of Nicaragua. And over the last 4 years, every cigar that's come out has had a nice representation of Nicaraguan tobacco in the profile, and none more so than the one that you're smoking with the Jalapa Valley Nicaraguan wrapper, Jalapa Valley in the filler, Esteli Nicaragua in the filler, of course, Piloto Cabano, Hamastron Honduran tobacco. So that's sort of been a thing I think that people are looking at and saying, wow, the lights just came off of Cohiba. Well, that's not true. I mean, there was a juggernaut of a brand before me, and we've grown the brand, thankfully. But I think that's been with a new audience that we weren't really resonating with before because we didn't have as big a footprint in the Nicaraguan space.
I'm gonna make a statement. I'm pretty positive, based on your humbling demeanor, you're not gonna mention anything or take any credit for this. But let's just say this: in the early 2000s, there was a couple brands that dominated. That in 2021, you're like, where is this brand, or what is this brand doing? Now, the fact of the matter is, do your overseeing, right? You need to give credit to yourself, because at the end of the day, you must be praised for the work that you have done. Now, I get it. The brand was doing great. I got it. The brand was had a juggernaut. It was good. But let's just be frank about stuff, and we don't sugarcoat nothing on the Virtual Smoke That. The brand is doing tremendously much better with you at the helm.
The brand is doing very well. I did not screw it up.
I'm just saying, that was my 2 cents and the praise that you deserve. So, one of the biggest things that, right now I feel to capture the audience, not only capture the audience in the show, what I'm saying is capture audience or consumers for that matter, is everybody is no longer kind of like, oh, this is like a cool rapper. I mean, let's just talk about it. When I was smoking 9 years ago, I used to go by what was the coolest band. What band had the coolest, and if the band stood out, then that's what I was going to smoke that day. But now nobody is getting into that point. You're starting to see bands a little bit more I wouldn't say traditional, but it's not too much art to it.
Less ornate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So right now, everybody is focused on the story behind the cigar. Where was the tobacco from? Where was the the Seco, Velado, Viso, Ligero? Where was all that from? And I think that all goes to the main foundational points of the seed to consumer process. Can you go over just like when you grab some tobacco, is these things going through your head and be like, okay, where did this come from? What was unique about this growth process or this crop? All those different things.
Yeah. So, but you don't want a story for the sake of having a story. I mean, if you can make up a story, and believe me, in the cigar industry, stories have been made up. So, the story to me comes from if we find something that's really interesting, right? Which is, I mean, let's be honest, man. I mean, there's not an infinite array of tobacco out there. Like, we're fortunate that we have sort of the lion's share of certain things, Cameroon, Connecticut broadleaf, because we use more of that than most people. So we have, as far as Cameroon, I mean, it's us at Fuente as far as authentic Cameroon, period. Yeah. People will say they have Cameroon, but it's Cameroon grown in Nicaragua or Ecuador. But as far as authentic Cameroon, I could plant a flag that says, yo, everybody else is just bugging. If you want real Cameroon, you got to come see us, you know?
Yeah.
So in Connecticut broadleaf is kind of the same thing. Just from, Cameroon leaf is the most expensive commercially available leaf on the planet. Second to that is Connecticut broadleaf, for a number of reasons. Just what it takes to get it to maturation. Also, it's what it takes to grow and age tobacco here in the USA. That costs a little bit more. So, so with those, I could say, okay, this is our thing. And then once you get into other, little, nuts and bolts as it relates to special tobacco, the one you're smoking, Jalapa Valley, Nicaraguan tobacco. Well, Jalapa Valley Nicaraguan tobacco isn't a unicorn, but Jalapa Valley Nicaraguan wrapper tobacco is a very, very, very rare thing to have. So, so we kind of hang our hat on that. And then we have certain things that have stories to them, like the original Spectre that we did in 2018 that had Piloto Cabana from 1993. So at the time, it was 25-year-old Piloto Cabana. Well, shit. I mean, that story is a story. Like you can't. That is what it is. You don't have to make anything up. Literally, it was my first trip down to our raw materials facility. Well, we have several, but this is one actually that we've since closed down. It was in Licey, Dominican Republic, and I walked past this bale wrapped in tercios, the palm leaf wrapping as opposed to the burlap sack. So that's a whole different story to get into. But I see it has this really funky patina on it. It's brown and really, really aged and weathered. I'm like, what's up with this? And come to find out, it's 25-year-old Piloto Cabana. So immediately I'm thinking, we have to use this. And they're like, well, it's one bale of tobacco. We can't make a lot with it. I was like, I don't care if we can make 2 cigars with it. We have to use this. Right. So that story is what it is. So, you don't look for, and we got other stuff we're working on too that we're coming out that we've been working on. But the thing about cigars, man, good cigars, there's 2 things you can't fake the funk on, right? Time, material. That's it. That's what you got to work with. So we have really good material, but the big thing that we have the benefit of, and I say we, I'm not just Cohiba, General Cigar, being that we have the resources, we have good material, we have great material, but we also can take our time, right? As opposed to when I was in the boutique world. I mean, listen, man, you had to you were hunting down, special little tobacco, special projects, and you had to get it going. You had to get it going because you're on a hamster wheel. You needed it to eat. You know what I'm saying? To keep going. So we have a little bit more cover fire. That we have a lot of things out there, so we can take our time. And I, as a cigar maker, I love it because I can really like it. If it's not right, we're not going to push it out the door. There was a reason we didn't launch Spectre last year in 2020. There was a reason we had a delay in launching in Connecticut when we launched it a couple years prior. Because if it's not right and it's not ready, we're not putting it out. And it's good to have that ability, right? That leeway to do that.
So you were explaining something. See, this is the process, that I always go all antennas up, is learning the kind of the seed to consumer process. So you were speaking of a word that I can't recall, something with a B, Valero, something, the bale wrap.
Tercios.
Yes.
The palm bark.
So what's the difference between the regular way and then the palm tree way?
So and I'm not, I can't say this 100%, but man, I'm pretty sure that we're the only company still doing this.
Okay.
And that's lucky we are, because we have some old heads, man, in the DR that's like, they're OGs, and it's like, this is the way we did it back in the day, and we're still going to do it. We don't do it a lot, but you've seen a bale of tobacco, either in person or in picture. Yeah. You see like this sort of burlap sort of sack that it's wrapped in. Yeah. Looks like a potato sack almost. Yeah. That the bale sits in. Okay, well that's just the typical way that you age a bale of tobacco. Well, when it's aged in tercios, and you guys can maybe go through my IG feed or maybe even Google it. I'm not sure. Tercios, Tercios, and it's a way that an old school way, and a lot of stuff I think happens out of necessity. I would like to think that people had foresight to know that it would age the tobacco differently. But basically, instead of using those sort of burlap potato sack material to wrap the tobacco bales in, they use actual palm leaves, huge palm leaves, and wrap the tobacco, put these belts around and whatever, and that keeps the bale together. But also what that does is as it ages longer, it's not as porous as the sacks are. You know, the sacks is fabric, so it's a little bit more porous.
Yeah.
Gets more air, more temperature in and out. The palm leaf is not as porous, so you don't get as much air in and out, as much temperature change or whatever. So it allows the tobacco to slowly marry a little bit more over time. And the longer it's in there, the more interesting complexity that you get, and the tobacco actually sort of feeds off of itself. So you lose some of the harshness, but you still keep some of the body, and it really imparts just this interesting flavor.
So more of the story, it really gets to it brings out a different dynamic or flavor within the cigar.
You get the exact same tobacco, exact same primings, treated the exact same way in the factories, and you put one bale in tertius and one in your standard bale wrapping. 5 years later, you see a stark difference. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah.
You know, I've talked to several cigar makers throughout my time, and I want to know, because I always ask this question because it just interests me. You know, for the people that does it on a daily basis, what's your favorite part of the tobacco growing cigar blending process?
Well, I'm not a grower at all by any stretch.
Absolutely.
That's a totally different universe. I don't pretend to be a grower. I know enough about it to get myself in trouble. Just in talking with the agronomists and horticulturalists who do the growing. But as far as the cigar making process, that's a good question. Probably something as rudimentary as tasting through the blends, man. I mean, because we'll sit down at a table and we'll have a table full of tobaccos from all over the globe, and we're just rolling them up, and just the process of kind of going through them. You char your palate out. You can't taste anything by the end of the day. You got plain premium crackers you're chewing on, and sipping coffee and trying to clean your palate and whatever. But just the normal sort of, picking up the sort of almost imperceptible differences, between, what a half leaf of this did versus a whole leaf of that, and so forth, and kind of going right through the blend and trusting your palate along the way as you're burning it out. So something about that is just because that's how I learned when I first went down to Nicaragua 16 years ago. I didn't know anything about tobacco at all. I thought I knew. I knew nothing about tobacco. So me, kind of, working my way through it was me just smoking, stuff just back and forth with the blender of Elio at Placencia. He's just, I say I want this, as far as more strength or spice or whatever, and he rolled a cigar right in front of me, and I'm tasting it, and to this day, that's still like a process that just sort of just resonates with me, and I still enjoy.
I think one of the biggest processes, a lot of people don't really notice is how essential it is to have a clean palate, when you're tasting tobacco. For me, I would say I've been blessed. I don't, but you can also develop this, but I think it comes with a lot of time, understanding the different the notes that come out of different tobaccos, and what note is going to 9 times out of 10 come out of X, Y, and Z tobacco. What would be the easiest way for people to cleanse their palate outside of the crackers? Me personally, I like to go with coffee. I like to go with water. I don't really get big into the bourbon scotches. I think more of that is not an inflation. What's the word?
In addition,
it's an additive.
You're not cleansing your palate with any alcoholic beverage. I mean, you're doing primarily for me and most cats I know, as far as when we're working on blends, it's coffee, it's plain unsalted crackers and water. That's it. And there may be other things out there, I don't know. But yeah, that's what we use. That's what we keep on ready, standby while we're going through blending.
One of the things when I was going over that process from my YouTube video that I did on how to cleanse your palate, I noticed, so many people is like, oh, the best thing that you can ever drink, with a cigar is a good glass of scotch or whiskey or bourbon. And I'm like, well, that's more of an additive, in relation to what it is that you're trying to get from the cigar. If you're looking just for a good time, you're doing a social event, you want to just drink a nice glass of bourbon or something like that. It's more of just a complimentary piece to it, but that's not a real way that you're gonna really be able to pull out those notes of the cigars. I mean,
it can certainly overpower your palate. And honestly, I probably have most of my cigars with tea or coffee. To be honest, specifically iced tea, because it's hot. Like earlier today, I was on another live show, and it was 2:00 in the day, so I was literally drinking iced tea, right? And always have my first cigar today. That's with coffee, and I'm not really a drinker, so for me, like I literally can't consume alcohol if I'm not smoking a cigar. So the alcohol is really just to complement a cigar for me. So I don't want anything that's going to overpower my palate.
And that's what I tell people all the time. One of our biggest questions that our tobacconists ask every time they help somebody pick out a cigar is what are you looking for, anything particular? But is the other question is, what do you plan to consume when you're smoking a cigar? Because a lot of people may get a Connecticut cigar and then go have a freaking, I don't know, a 1738 Remy or a Knob Creek whiskey or something like that, and it's just like, hey. Which one do you want to taste more? Because even with that combination, you're going to taste more of your alcohol.
Even what you're going to eat. I mean, ideally, you don't want to have a black and ribeye and then light up a Connecticut after. So
At all. So, and that's funny that to hear you say that and the complexity that you said it, man. That's amazing. So, getting into the seed to consumer process, right? What was one of those things that when you went to Nicaragua for the first time that just kind of blew your mind away and was like, wow, I didn't understand. Well, I wouldn't say understand. Understand is a bad word, but I didn't realize the complexity that goes into maybe curing the tobacco or fermenting the tobacco.
Pick a process. All of it. It was just overwhelming, dude. Like I thought I knew. To me, I was a cigar enthusiast. I started in the Atlanta Cigar Society, smoked a lot of cigars, and I thought just in smoking cigars, I had a good palate. I knew tobacco. I didn't know jack shit. I mean, I remember sitting down there, say, hey, okay, what kind of cigar you want to mix? I want to make Maduro. And they pull out a dozen Maduro wrappers, and I'm thinking, holy cow, So that was overwhelming, just to start from there. And then when you get into the nuances of what the different tobaccos add from different regions, and then understanding, okay, well, certain tobacco is really not to impart flavor, it's to help with combustion. Cigars have to burn. Think, all right, well, wow. How much binders really wish they could grow up and be wrappers, you know what I'm saying? And like how a leaf didn't make it as a wrapper, becomes a binder. But then don't even talk about the curing process, and the aging process. That still blows my mind. It's still I still have yet to figure out how they, because I mean, tobacco, that's what most things probably was an accident, right? I mean, you hear the stories about Columbus's men on the island of Cuba running back to the ship, saying that they see natives with smoking heads. So that's sort of the first recorded evidence of people smoking tobacco, right? So going back to the late 1400s. So how did it go from that to understanding how to ferment tobacco, age it for years, and rotating the pilones and the curing it's to this day, it's just, I see it and it's just mind blowing to me. And God bless the guys that know how to do that. Again, the teams, the people that you would never ever see. And that's when you're really, really a master blender. When because I understand that process sort of surfacely, and I get it, and I understand the time, but still, as I look at it, just rotating a pilone, all the tobacco from the center at some point is going to work its way to the outside of the pilone, and vice versa. Yep. And it's nothing but time, heat, and water. And how did they figure that out? And how did they know to adjust it based on the different varieties of tobacco? I'm still, I still marvel at that to this day. And that's some of the things, like, so you always learn in this business, and there's so much more I still have to learn. So it's just, so yeah, so what blew me away the first time I went to Nicaragua, shit, the same thing that blows me away anytime I go to the factory now, man. I'm still just amazed. Still amazed.
You know, and I think seeing that process, like you said, there's no, I mean, obviously they write it down and, you know, they know when it was flipped and different things of that nature, but there was nothing that says this particular tobacco needs to be flipped, X, Y, and Z, you know, yada, yada, yada. It always changes, you know. We know that it needs to be flipped, but based on the temperature, based on the heat, based on how the center is doing, depends on maybe if that delays a week or speeds up a week or whatever the case may be, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yes, a lot of moving parts to it, man. Yeah, and it's deeper than that. I mean, I remember a few years ago, we couldn't get any Ligero out of Nicaragua. I mean, the smaller guys, because it was just a bad crop that year. So the big guys, they had Ligero, but the smaller guys didn't have Ligero. So we had to figure out how to make Esteli Viso smoke strong like Esteli Ligero.
Yeah.
And that all comes into that process, like giving a little bit more heat, giving a little bit more time, and thank God people know how to do that, man.
So speaking of the blending part, you know, going into that, you talk about Ligero, Deseco, Velado, Viso, all that stuff. That makes up the filler part. What is the methodology behind, you know, putting those together to maybe make, you know, the cigar and what it is that you're trying to get to? Is there an equation for it, or you just go throughout the combustion, or, you know, as you taste it?
What do you mean, as far as like coming up with a blend? Is there like,
well, not necessarily the blend, right? Obviously the blend is going to be the meat and potatoes of the pretty much the filler. But how do you know, based on, you know, so let's give you an example. We're making a Maduro. Obviously the wrapper is going to give off some notes and different things of that nature. So how do you know how much of this, you know, those different, you know, leaves that you're going to put in to make up that filler?
Well, it depends on what you want. So with the Cohiba Connecticut, there's never been a Connecticut shade cigar put out for Cohiba. Admittedly, I'm not a big Connecticut shade cigar smoker, so there's a couple of things coming into play. Me wanting something that I would enjoy smoking, and also being that this is the first Connecticut we put to the market, you know, we don't want to shit the bed, right? I mean, it has to be good. And I say that lightly because there are some very storied companies out there that historically have not been known for Connecticut shade wrappers and put out Connecticut shade, and it was met by, you know, lackluster receptions, right? So and that's going to happen. You're going to have you know, mixed reviews regardless. But I wanted to give us the best shot at doing that. I say the team wants to give us the best shot at doing that. So what do we want to do? We want to have a Connecticut that was a little bit heavier, had a little bit more weight, that I would enjoy smoking, that I could smoke to end my night, or I can smoke to start my day. But also it had to have some of the inherent qualities that Connecticut smokers like. You want it to be creamy, buttery, approachable. So that's sort of the calculus. So with that, I mean, you kind of start from that premise, like, so there's certain things that you're going to want to have. You know, we started out with a Connecticut shade grown wrapper, actually grown in Connecticut, which is that's a unicorn. That's a rare thing. We do have some in our, you know, possession, so to speak. So I wanted to start from there because, again, that gives you that story. That's different, right? But it just didn't work, right? You know, it was a little bit more vegetal than we liked, a little sharper than we liked. And again, the cigar needed to be buttery, it needed to be creamier. So we fell back to Ecuador, Los Rios region grown Ecuadorian wrapper to give us some of that creaminess that we wanted, and that the round complexities. Okay, well, we wanted a little bit of weight to it, but it couldn't be overpowering. Absolutely. So do we go with Esteli Ligero, which might be a little bit too much? No, okay, well, let's go with Jalapa Valley Nicaraguan Ligero, right? You know, Brasilia Mata Fina, San Andreas Binder. So you just you know, we figure out where we want to be, and that sort of informs the process of what we add along the way to kind of get there. And you don't necessarily know. I mean, I have an idea of where I'd like to start, you know, with the cigar, with some basic components, but that's going to change. It's always going to change, right? You're going to add something to whatever. So so you just kind of start with the profile, like where you want to land, what do you want the cigar to be, and then based on that, you decide what elements of the tobacco to start with, at least as a baseline, and then just kind of tweak it along the way.
You know, what was the hardest cigar that you blended, and that you were looking for some particular flavor, and it was like the hardest thing to blend for you?
The Cohiba, Connecticut. That was the hardest project that I worked on. For some of the reasons I talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wanting to force a U.S. grown Connecticut shade tobacco onto the market because it doesn't really exist. And then having something. There was a lot of pressure for a number of reasons. So wanted something that stood up body wise, but again still had some of the approachable elements that your normal Connecticut smoker would like. And then it was the first time Cohiba was making a Connecticut, so there was a lot of pressure with that. So that was probably the most difficult, and not in a bad way, just the most challenging for any number of reasons.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Cohiba Black is one of your most stronger cigars. If I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, sort of. So the Cohiba Black, that's an OG, that's an old school, and it's a classic Maduro. I mean, for me, it's medium body, black coffee, bitter chocolate, rich profile, but it's not as full as the Cohiba Nicaragua, and certainly not as full as the Cohiba Royale.
So yeah, I'm smoking the Cohiba Royale, and one thing I like about it, it has that pepper that sit on the back of your palate, but it's not overwhelming on the retro hill. So I think so many times, there's some blenders that's known for making a more fuller or full body cigar, regardless of what the hell they blended. They could be blending with a Habano wrapper and still got some oomph to it. What was one of your things, even blending the Royale? What was one of the things that you wanted to get to out of that? Being a Maduro guy.
I wanted a cigar that sort of raised the metrics a little bit on our full body offerings, right? Something that was maybe with the Cohiba Nicaragua a hair above, but had a little bit more balance, a little bit more nuance. Wanted something that was really representative of the best of Nicaragua in the way of the Jalapa Valley wrapper. But again, full body, good balance. I wanted the spice. I wanted to wake you up, but I didn't want to set your head on fire.
Yeah.
So that's just sort of like elegant and bold. That was kind of it.
I got a philosophy on the best way to to taste the nose side of the cigar. What is truly your best way to taste the actual nose side of the tobacco that you're smoking?
Well, smoking for the first time with water, and really, I rarely retrohale cigars. I only typically retrohale cigars when I'm smoking it for the first time.
Yeah.
Just because I want to get the flavor. So I'm doing the cold draw, of course, before I light up. Then as I get into it, I'm just having water with it, and I'm smoking it a little bit slower than normal, and I'm giving it some good retrohales, just to get the full nuance of it. Also, no fans blowing because I want to make sure that the smoke sits a little bit so I can pick up the room note as much as possible, which is hard to do. You typically smell someone else's cigar more than you smell the one you're smoking. So I want to just try to do what I can to try to get all of the experiences involved. And if you have a fan blowing, that's going to take the smoke away, so you don't get that sort of reflexive, scent of the cigar, which that kind of helps too. That helps inform the palate.
Do you find it hard to kind of taste cigars for the first time while in the midst of a lot of company or anything of that nature?
Yeah, I don't. A lot of times I'll be places that people give me and say, "Hey, try this," and I never smoke it then because, and you're in the retail side, and man, if, you probably enjoy your best cigars once you're home. And it's sort of like me when I'm on the road, man. I stay at people are like, why you stay at Marriott Courtyard so much? Like, I could stay at full service Marriott, obviously, but I like staying at Courtyards because most of them actually have a courtyard. And at night, when I'm done with events or whatever, I go back to the hotel, relax. I can actually sit out and enjoy a cigar and taste it and relax and enjoy it.
Based on like even the philosophy of what you said, I don't call myself a cigar maker, and I don't call myself knowing everything about cigars. But one thing I do know how to do is taste cigars and get the nose side of. I know if a blend is good or not. Pretty much know the smokes that come out of it. You get so many dang cigars, especially on the retail side. Even get so many cigars, and I always tell people, they be like, "Hey, did you smoke that cigar I just gave you?" I usually tell them no. I'm probably not gonna smoke it for a couple months. One, I want to make sure I have it, stored in my humidor enough time to know that when I do give it a shot, there's been some type of aging to it. We put it at the correct humidity. I know the burn should be great, based on if it's put together or not. And it also allows me to, one, sit at my patio and just don't talk to anybody, don't focus on anything outside of just, giving that cigar a shot. Is that something that obviously you said, in the courtyards, but is that something that you kind of get more ritual, even when you go to Nicaragua to taste blends?
So I don't have that luxury when I'm in the factory in Nicaragua, DR, and so forth. Yeah, because we're smoking a lot, but it's not like we're smoking a lot there and saying, okay, this is it, wrap it up. Let's put these into production. No, we're working through something so that we land on a blend that I'm going to take back. Yeah. So I'll be back in the States. They'll be in my humidor, and I'll smoke one of those cigars every week over a certain period of time to see how they age out. So there's you can't rush the process, right?
Yeah, absolutely not.
So I guess in a sense, ultimately I do take my time and let them age out and smoke it. But we're in the factories. I mean, you're trying to land on something that you think, okay, well, I think this is one that's going to age out well. So let's roll up a few dozen of these. I take them back, and then sometimes you get back and it ain't the lick. You're like, shit. Okay.
Well, it was good in the factory.
I don't know what was going on with my palate, what I thought we landed on, but this ain't the move. So guess what? I'll be back down. Or if it's something that I can pick up, like, okay, well, I want it a little bit more nutty. Okay, well, let's add Condego Ligero, or maybe up the Condego Ligero, or it's too spice forward. Let's back off the SLE Ligero, or we're not getting good burn. Maybe instead of Piloto Cabano, Seco Puliano. So and you can kind of maybe try that stuff over email, and they'll tweak it and send it back. But there's nothing that beats actually being at the damn table and instantly, let's do this. So we try.
I think a lot. You just said a lot, and just that answer that I think a lot of people not only should take away, but just understand that when you're blending a cigar, man, there is so many different things outside of everybody knows. Well, the people that really know cigars know the different type of leaves that they use, but understanding like the different ones of it, I would have been like, what are you talking about? I don't even know. It got to burn. You got to burn a little better.
Yeah, I mean,
got to burn a little slower.
And that's not a bad thing, dude. I mean, you're in the cigar business, but I do something else in the cigar business, and there's certain things that I would hope that I would know that some people may not.
Yeah, man, that's amazing, man. Well, Sean, I know you got a busy schedule ahead of you, man. We're 3 minutes to our hour, man. I don't want to go over.
Wow, it flew by, man. Wow.
It literally did. It literally did. I think that's what happened when you had great conversations. In my opinion. So one thing that we do on the virtual smoke deck is we drop a gem, man. Any gem that you would like to use, give to the the people that's watching, the people that's gonna watch, whatever you feel.
Just any gem. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
You missed the curve on cryptocurrency. No, I don't know. I don't know. So for aspiring, there's a lot of people always, a lot of people coming to me. Hey, I want to make a cigar. What does it take to make a cigar? What does it take to make a cigar? I would just caution people to not confuse being a cigar maker with enjoying the pleasures of a cigar. And there's a lot to be said about actually enjoying the pleasures of a cigar, versus jumping on the business side of the cigar game, right? So never lose sight of that.
Man, always enjoy this cigar is what I got from it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Always. Well, Sean, man, We definitely appreciate you coming on the virtual smoke day, my guy.
No problem, man.
You're amazing, man. And I'm not, doing this to boast your head. I know you hear it a lot. Just keep doing what it is that you're doing. Keep making great cigars, man. Your legacy is being built every day that you go to the factory, every day that you go to a event, every day you walk out that house, you light up a cigar and say, this is what I'm going to do today, man. So I just want to let you know, man, you're doing great. Keep it up.
No, I appreciate it. And thank you for your flexibility, man. I really, really apologize to your listeners, man, that we couldn't do this on Sunday and my calendar got jammed up. I appreciate your flexibility. Appreciate you giving me a platform to come on and talk to your people.
Man, no problem. And I appreciate you again taking the opportunity to come this way. If you're ever in the Jacksonville area, man, make sure you come and see us at Dapper D Cigars. We would love to have you.
I got to do it. Got to do it.
Hey, come on, man. We'll love to have it. Just,
Right.
we don't. I'll put it like this. So many times people be like, yeah, just come so we can do an event. I don't even need an event. Just come out and smoke and just relax. You know what I mean? Like,
somehow those things tend to turn into little events, which I don't mind, by the way. Listen, I love making cigars, but I can't make them if we don't sell them.
Man, come on now. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna do that for you. I got people to do that, so we can either go both ways with it. Okay.
Hey, go to dapperDcigars.com and get something from Jack, man. I appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate it. Well, Sean, well, you have a great day. Have fun at that birthday party. Don't have too much fun though. Okay. You
Bro,
got a flight to catch in the morning.
Man. I'm gonna try. Have a good one, man. Thanks a lot.
Hey, all right, Sean. Have a great one. Hey, one thing about the virtual smoke day, man. This is why I love doing what I do, man. Just having those complex conversations with masterminds like Sean and all the other people that we have had the luxury of having on the show is just brilliant. Every time I do these shows, man, not only do I strive to give you a content or something to take away, but I also learn something, man. Just the details of understanding the different ligeros and understanding the blending process, the fermentation process. I think it's something that we always go by and say that's this is just a bad cigar. It's a terrible cigar. I don't think there's no bad cigar out there. I think there's just better ones for you. And give Cohiba a shot, man. I used to be on that train where I didn't really smoke Cohiba, man. And Cohiba makes some phenomenal damn cigars. So check them out at Dapper D Cigars. If you're new to the channel and you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and give us this huge thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and go to the Virtual Smoke Track. Press like and follow, man, for all the updated shows that we got going on. I need to find my phone. Also, go follow us at Dapper D Cigars on Instagram and Facebook, man, for all the updated content that we have and all the events that we have going on. I'm getting my calendar out to figure out who we got next week. Gives me an extra day. Father's Day is next week. So actually, we would not be doing a live segment next. Actually, I think I am going to jump on for a little bit on next Sunday for a Father's Day event. We'll do a business cigar and talk. I didn't book anybody like that during that weekend to just be a bad day for everybody. But June 27th, we have the hot and sensational Brian from Privada Club coming onto the show, man. That is going to be an amazing segment. That's a week before the release of the July LCA. Thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you so much to everybody that watched, man. I'm Jack the Cigar Enthusiast. Like I said, June 27th, we got Brian from the Privada Club. Man, we about to rip this thing. With that being said, man, I'm Jack the Cigar Enthusiast, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this segment, but I'll go.